I'm here with the gorgeous Jeff Burton, one of the co-founders from EA Sports. Quu
And You.
Let's talk about eSports.
Pure emotion.
Passion.
Phenomenal.
Lifestyle.
Professional.
Fun.
Epic future.
It's such a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure to be here. My pleasure.
Right. I have a few questions because the esports scene, you are in there from the very beginning. And now FIFA is a EA game and now a very big title in esports. And how do you see the opportunities to go at the company in esports, and how do you see esports in the future?
Well, okay, it's hard to predict how things will actually work out. We were trying to do that all the time at Electronic Arts, and we were never right. So it has to do with some timing and infrastructure and luck. But one of the things that is compelling about esports and how it's evolving is that, for one thing, it's not that expensive to deal with. I mean, there's not huge infrastructures that you have to build, really, for people to engage with playing a game in competition with each other. They don't need huge stadiums to be built to do that. It's software, and that's a real advantage to the advent of esports, is that it doesn't require super infrastructure, or not additional super infrastructure. I would say that the fact that we have worldwide internet capabilities now, that's a big infrastructure piece that has to be there, but it's there already, so it's not like you have to add that. I think that the evolution of 5G will also be a tremendous asset to the esports industry, and that's coming in the next few years. So I think that technology is advancing esports impact all the time, and companies have to understand that it's going to be a huge entertainment market with valued at billions and billions of dollars. And it's not just the actual competition, but there are other layers of pieces to it that will create, sub-industries of it. And so it's got a very widespread capability in the world, and I think it's bringing people together. So I think it's great.
I fully agree with you. And we talked about sim racing earlier and yesterday already. How do you see sim racing in the next years, and what's your feelings if you're you always sim race by yourself with virtual reality or something? How's your emotions by using virtual reality, and what do you think? Where is sim racing going the next years?
Well, I think that there's a huge number of people that haven't yet been able to experience sim racing that would love to, and so I think that it's going to be made available to them in ways that haven't been possible before, and everybody loves being able to get in a car and test it out and test their skill at driving. And particularly if they don't really have to own the car or get on a racetrack or actually drive through streets, if they can do that virtually, it's so much more, it's so much easier for access. And I think people are motivated to participate in racing, and the sim racing just makes it totally easy for them. So I think it's a huge potential category of kinds of esports events that will be very compelling to Europeans and Americans. And I'll tell you, just having come from China, they're getting to the point where they really are interested in developing a market category, or a category of sim racing, because their billion population hasn't really had the chance to experience it before, and now they can.
Right. And let's go a few years back where EA is starting. You told me that EA was born as an idea, and you get companies to investigate invest in your idea so they can help you grow up your own company as this big thing is it now. So what do you tell companies if they are scared? You work with startups in the whole world, and everyone is a bit scared that it could be failed. So what would you tell them and the companies who think, new marketing, I don't know if that's the right way for us, especially traditional companies, maybe a bit scared to go into this business. It's a new world. So what would you tell them?
Well, my advice, I think it's in some ways it's a partly a cultural thing. There are attitudes that are more prevalent in the U.S. that makes people a little bit less risk averse, and I think that there are traditions in other parts of the world, Europe and Asia too, that are much more conservative and make people fear failure more. So I think that it will require some modification of people's attitudes over time, because it is a risky, high risk endeavor, and I think that as people play around with it and get into it more, they will realize that it's not as it may not be as risky as they thought it was. And there's also an inverse relationship between risk and reward. The higher the risk, the greater the reward. So that's another thing that people have to experience to maybe acclimate themselves to being able to take more risks and not feel so much fear of failure, because throughout life, we all have failures. It's whether or not you can get back up and go again that makes a difference.
And one last question. If I would ask you to complete my sentence, eSports is for me, what would you say? Esports is for you?
Esports is for me because I'm the age where I can't get out and play. My physical limitations are vast now, and I love esports because it allows me to do things that I can't do anymore.
Perfect. Thanks for your time. Such a great interview, and my pleasure too. And we're out with this. Bye.